Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to begin to talk about trading systems. And how we're going to first begin is to examine the psychology of trading systems and how this relates to, but it's quite different from trading psychology. This lesson is really critical, so we're going to build out and continue to build out the concepts introduced here, so it's an important lesson to internalize. First and foremost, let me start with a quote from Antonio Damasio, who's a very famous neuroscientist. And in his words, he says, "We are not thinking machines, and we are not feeling machines, but rather we are feeling machines that think." And so with that understanding, the understanding that, you know what, we are not thinking beings or just feeling beings, we're hardwired to do both. So as a trader, you're a person first and then a trader. You cannot disconnect the two, right? You cannot bring into trading one element of yourself and ignore the rest of yourself, right? We're fully integrated. And that's why the baggage you bring into trading will be what's expressed in your trades. And so this is what's a foundational idea, because the more awareness we have of what we bring to the table, the more awareness we can bring to how that may bleed over or blend into our trading systems. And that's why we're attending to some of these more general psychology issues first that we spoke about in previous lessons, such as beliefs and behavioral triggers and self-talk and so forth, because these, as I said before, have an impact on your trading and could be present with your trading and many other activities outside of trading. So the fact is that most traders can be quite successful, and comfortably so, if they can just simply be given the proper preparations and expectations. I firmly believe that. Traders, on average, I think, are a lot smarter than most individuals, and it's really not a matter of being smart enough to trade. It's more the matter of being thrown into a position from which a trader is not properly prepared. The reason why I think traders are, as a group, smarter than average is because, you know, most traders, they've already accomplished something in life to be able to earn the capital to have the opportunity to trade. You've proven yourself and your mettle elsewhere, and now you're bringing your success to trading. But as you'll see, and as you've heard me say perhaps in the past, is that the mind we bring to trading is oftentimes ill-suited to deal with the uncertainties of trading. And what's really a recipe for disaster is that when you're put in a position where you aren't prepared and you're given poor direction and inaccurate expectations. That's a real recipe for disaster, right? So poor preparation, number one, poor direction, number two, and poor expectations. And inevitably what results is extreme stress, extreme fluctuations in emotions, and probably poor results. And so there's a common misdirection or misunderstanding, I think, in the industry, where you hear a lot of people talking about the issue of trade performance being one of the lack of discipline. You know, the inability for a trader to perhaps be disciplined enough to trade their trade plan, or have self-control, or have, you know, the discipline to do whatever preparation they may need to do to become successful. And I actually disagree with this approach, because I think most people by nature are not undisciplined. There's another issue creating probably about 80% of the problems, and I don't think it's one of discipline. See, I think that what we see when it comes to sabotage as it pertains to trading is that our subconscious has an element at risk. Now, I don't mean to be offending or say something that sounds like criticism, but these are simply observations I've made with dozens of traders I've spoken to over the years. And what I think it boils down to is the misalignment with true goals and their desires. That is, if the way you've decided to trade is not in alignment with your true goals or desire or your vision for what your trading should be or what you want it to be, then your subconscious can sabotage you from being successful. For example, if you've quit a day job where you're working 9 to 5 because you didn't want to work that 8-hour day job, but now you're spending 8 hours a day in front of a screen day trading, and deep down inside you don't want this, That's a fundamental conflict, right? Likewise, if you're too far outside, let's say you're too far outside your comfort zone, then your subconscious will try to protect you from stress by sabotaging you so that you have a measure or feeling of control. I see some traders all the time where the way they deal with uncertainty is by trying to exert control over an unknowable event. So, you see traders all the time sabotage themselves by trading too aggressively with positions that are too large, based upon the size of the account or based upon their proficiency level. It happens all the time. Likewise, if your system has issues, such as not being truly sound or being somehow incomplete or contradictory in some ways, right? Then deep down, you'll know that you're not properly equipped to be trading the system with a high level of confidence. And so your subconscious will keep you at a place which it deems the right level of risk. Also, if your understanding just isn't there, let's say your understanding is even less solid than your system, which may be on shaky ground, then the reasoning, the indicators used, the why it should work, why it's constructed in a certain way, or the workings of the market or your software, all that stuff is going to lead to a very nebulous, uncertain place, which is going to keep you at a perceived, deserved level of success. So, I'll just say it again. If the system you're using is based on a strategy or reasoning with which you're inherently in disagreement with, there's a conflict in your subconscious, and it will sabotage you to try to correct that misalignment. So for example, if you don't really trust the trend, then it's going to be really hard for you to follow trend following systems, no matter how good it is. All right? So there's lots of reasons for your subconscious to interfere with your trading and to try to protect you or correct any conflicts or misalignments. But if everything is in alignment and it fits you, then the opposite happens. Your subconscious now has reason to support you rather than sabotage you. So, it's all about you and your system. You and your system. This means you need to have a solid system with which you agree fully with and understand. Plus, you need to develop yourself as a trader and in the skills in which you need to execute it so that you can be free of issues. Put another way, if you pursue trading from a well-prepared place with a system and methodology that fits you, then you're going to have trust in the system, in the methodology, but most importantly, in yourself. So trust, again, is the most important component here because you cannot have confidence without trust. And probably the best indicator for you to tell whether or not you have trust in yourself or your system or your method is to listen to your feelings. They'll tell you where the disconnect exists. So, it's about developing awareness around your levels of discomfort. That is, check in to find out the discomfort that causes you to do other than what you want to do. So that would come in the form of doubts, anxieties, and fears. These are actually indicators for you. This is where you want to orient yourself because these are unknown pockets for you that need to be resolved.